Welcome to mine and Winnie's home gym. Today I'm going to walk you through my hip and low back stretching routine. If you're somebody who sits a lot at work or just sits a lot in general, or even feel like you're in the same position for an extended period of time, this is a really good stretching routine for you to do. Whether that's, in the morning or in the evening after work, then this is a good one that you can try out on your own. So I'll kind of go over the exercises. I won't hold every stretch for as long as you should. I would suggest holding the stretches for about 30 seconds each side, but I'm just going to kind of like slowly walk you through them so that you can kind of follow along. So the first exercise is cat-cow. This is one that I do even before all of my workouts that I do. So you're going to want to be on all fours. Your knees are going to be stacked under your hips. Your hands or your wrists are going to be stacked under your shoulders. And you're going to drive your belly button towards the floor. Lift your chest up, shoulders back, chin to the ceiling, hold that nice and slow and controlled. And then you're going to arch your spine and you're going to drive your belly button to your spine up to the ceiling, hold that, and then slowly go back into the upward facing. So this is the cow position, and this is the cat position right here. So I recommend doing that about like 10 to 12 times. The next one I do, staying in this tabletop position, I'm doing T-spine rotation, so this is for your upper back. So you're going to have your hand on the side of your head next to your ear. Your bent elbow is going to come towards your opposite elbow, and then you're going to reach up, rotate, keeping your hips where they are, keeping your hips stacked over your knees, nice and parallel, nice and square. And you're going to just turn at your upper body, turn your torso chest tall as far as you can, and then slowly back down, and then back up. You can do that about like 6 to 8 times each side. Okay, the next one, this is a child's pose variation. So you can start with just holding child's pose for about 30 seconds or so. But I like to throw in reaching to each side. It really helps get a good stretch in your lat, in your side body. So good. So again, holding each pose for about 30 seconds. So you can start with, regular child's pose, reaching here 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other side. And you can also repeat it a couple times if you feel like you like that stretch or you want to stretch a little bit more. The next one, staying in this lower child's pose, I like to thread the needle, so pushing my opposite arm underneath this arm that's up, driving it through, and getting a good stretch in my rear delt right here. So just kind of driving as far as possible. If you feel like you can't get much of a stretch, you can even put something under your hand just to almost lift this one a little bit more. You can do this with a foam roller. Can you get up? I'm sorry. Lay down. I'm sorry, I know. Okay, so with a foam roller, so you can actually have your hand here and just roll out as far as you can and then bring it back and roll out. You can just hold this position for 30 seconds just because it lifts your arm a little bit. You get a little bit more of a stretch in there. Okay, next we are going to get some movement in our hips. So this one, sometimes people struggle with their hip mobility and they can't necessarily do this one, getting that full range of motion. So typically, these are called hip 90s. So you're starting with your feet outside shoulder width. You're going to have a 90-degree angle in your knees, and you're going to keep your heels, push your heels into the floor, and you're going to tilt your knees to one side, the same side, keeping your butt on the ground, trying to keep, so if you're moving to your left side, you're trying to keep your right butt cheek as close to the ground as possible, which can feel very hard. So typically you're wanting to kind of keep your body forward, not leaning back. Leaning back makes it a little bit easier. If you do struggle, you can just get this movement in your hips. This is a good starting point, but eventually you kind of want to get to that point where you're able to stay nice and upright, and trying to keep your hands off of the ground so that you don't have that assistance. So getting this movement in here. Another thing you can throw into this one, so first I would suggest like getting that movement in your hips, but you can also get a little bit of a forward lean. So leaning forward will help you get, a little bit of an extra stretch in this front leg, leaning forward. And then you can also lean back a little bit, and you'll feel like you're getting that stretch in this back hip here. So you can hold these positions for your 30 seconds as well after doing those hip 90s. The next one we're going to do is the pigeon pose. I love the pigeon pose, so you can do this one seated. You can even kind of do a variation of this lying on your back, or you can do it on the floor. So I'll show you on the floor first. So this is where you're going to have your front leg ahead of you, and your back leg's going to be straight behind you, and just getting a good stretch in here. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of movement in here, so I'll kind of like go all the way down to the floor, and then I'll pop up a little bit, down to the floor. If you want, you can just hold this position, or you can just hold this position if that's enough of a stretch for you. Okay, so doing this one seated, you're just gonna come and sit down, and you're going to bring your ankle to your opposite knee. Sit in this position, and you can even push this knee down a little bit, and you'll feel a good stretch in your hip right here. So then holding that for your 30 seconds. Okay? And then you can also do a variation similar, lying on your back. So you'll have your leg across, your ankle on your opposite leg, and you can kind of pull up your other leg and pull towards you, and just hold this position, and you'll get that good stretch right here. So holding that for 30 seconds. And then make sure you're doing it on both sides. Okay, the next one is going to be a little bit of a knee hug. So you can again do this one lying, you can do this one seated on a chair, you can do this one seated on the floor, I'd say is the easiest. So kind of just hugging that knee towards your chest, getting that good stretch in your hip. Okay, now we're going to get into our hip flexor and hamstring rockers. So you're going to be in a half kneeling position. So you're going to drive your knee forward, and you're going to feel that stretch in your hip flexor in the leg that is back. Okay, and you can hold this for your 30 seconds. And then rocking back, you're going to slowly straighten the leg that's forward and feel a stretch in your hamstring. Just sitting back. Get more. You can lift your toes up towards you, hold that for your 30 seconds, and then get back into the hip flexor stretch for that leg that's back. Holding that for 30 seconds, and then back, and getting that hamstring on the opposite leg. Next, we are going to do the half you can also do full frog, but I feel like I'm able to focus on one leg at a time easier than doing the frog pose on both. Sometimes it hurts my hips a little bit. So the half frog, you can start in this kneeling position. So we're gonna start with my right leg out. So I'm gonna stay kneeling on this left side. I'm gonna kick my leg out so it's nice and straight. And then you're going to come forward and then slowly push your hips back, getting a good stretch on the inside of your leg here. Holding that for 30 seconds. You can also, if holding the pose hurts, you can rock forward, get a little bit of a break, and then rock back and really sit into it. But yeah, holding this one for your 30 seconds as well. So I think that is all for my stretches that I do. If you were to do all of these stretches, hold them for the 30 seconds, it should take you about 10 minutes or so. So it's nice and quick. You can obviously hold the stretches for a little bit longer. Do the stretches a couple times. Focus on any areas that are extra tight, but I would recommend doing this at least a few times a week, especially if you are dealing with, any muscle soreness or tightness or pain. And sometimes that pain that you're feeling in one muscle is because of tightness in another muscle. Thank you so much for watching.